You're listening to Procurement 6, the weekly podcast from the team at Art of Procurement that summarizes this week in procurement in just 6 short segments.
Hi there, my name is Philip Heitzen, and today is Friday, June 27th, 2025.
6.
More than ever before, building strong relationships with suppliers is cited as critical to our ability to mitigate or take advantage of today's geopolitical instability. I know many of you will set up programs to be more intentional about your top suppliers, whether that's top 100, top 50, or top 10. But what about those important suppliers who don't fall within the purview of these more formal programs? Well, my tip of the week is just to check in with an important but perhaps feeling unloved supplier. Ask them how things are going, if there's anything you can do to support them. At worst, you'll have done some maintenance on a supplier relationship, but at best, you might learn about a risk to be mitigated or some innovation to take advantage of.
5.
Most procurement teams are drowning in urgent tasks while important strategic work gets pushed aside, sometimes indefinitely. But what if AI could handle the time-consuming legwork, the data gathering, the validation, and the routine analysis, freeing you to focus on what really matters? Well, in this week's Art of Procurement episode, Nick Heinzman from Zip explains how agentic AI is flipping the script on procurement workflows, moving us from human-initiated work to human-reviewed outcomes. Let's listen to a short clip from my conversation with Nick.
Well, I see a lot of excitement, and it's natural. But I always go back to the research that we're doing. Is like when we talk to our customer base internally, or when we do research work outside with other firms, a universal theme we see is a desire to work on certain kinds of tasks or activities that always gets pushed aside. And everyone has this in their daily jobs. It's the stuff that's, important but not necessarily urgent. In procurement, especially in the conditions they face these days, are forced to work on things that is both urgent and important. But the stuff that doesn't get done, or even let's say the stuff that could get done but doesn't get done, that could be really valuable, it's still there. Mm-hmm. And really what I see as the excitement, and I hear from people about this, is there's that twofold element. One of getting freed from either monotonous or very painful work that prevents you from doing the work you want to do, but then also the aspect of reimagining what could be done. Are there opportunities that no one would have wanted to touch a year ago that we can now look at an applied case of AI and say, actually, an AI could gather all of that data, send out those inquiries, and then source, that part of the tail spend that we aren't really touching today just because we don't have the number of people to do it. Yeah. I think that's a step change, but that's what we hear. And the thing that people get really excited about is when they start seeing this stuff in action, they say, well, could it do this? Or could it do that? And then it gets their wheels turning a bit. I think seeing is believing, not just in the proof point, but also helping people rethink how they approach their jobs, how they structure their teams. And we're only at the beginning of that, but that's where the excitement goes. It becomes really a question of what's next.
4.
Like Nick Heinzman and the team at Zip, we have also been thinking a lot about agentic AI and how it's going to reshape the way that procurement teams work. Most of us have got pretty comfortable with asking ChatGPT to help us draft emails or summarize contracts. But here's what's interesting. We're moving into a world where AI won't just wait for us to ask it questions. It's going to start taking action on its own. Yeah, I'm referring to agentic AI, and the difference between so-called regular AI tools and agentic AI is pretty striking. Instead of prompting the AI and then acting on its suggestions, these systems can actually complete tasks independently. Whereas now, you might want to ask AI to help you analyze supplier bids, and then you take that analysis and make the decision. An AI agent could go several steps further and monitor your inventory levels, request quotes from your approved suppliers, evaluate those bids using your criteria, and actually award the business, all without you doing anything. Of course, this might sound a little disconcerting, but it's not necessarily about replacing human judgment. It's more about freeing us up from the routine, the high-volume tasks, so we can focus more on the strategic priorities that drive the most value, like building relationships, achieving business alignment, managing stakeholders, and handling those complex negotiations that require real human insight and interaction. The question isn't whether this technology is coming. Agentic AI is already here. The question is how procurement is going to adapt to work with and alongside it.
This is Procurement 6 from Art of Procurement. To get notified every time an episode is published, go to artofprocurement.com/subscribe. 3.
One of the things I hear constantly from procurement leaders is the feeling of being caught between two worlds. On one side, procurement is mounting pressure to deliver more strategic value, but on the other side, they have to wrestle with fragmented systems and manual processes that make it nearly impossible to achieve those goals. Nowhere is this more obvious than in the first half of the source to pay process, that journey from identifying a need all the way through to a contract. We've been diving deep into this challenge in our latest buyer's guide, which we created in partnership with iValuer, that focuses specifically on source to contract technology. What's interesting is how many procurement teams are still trying to manage strategic sourcing with spreadsheets, email chains, and systems that don't talk to each other. But having the right source to contract platform in place can fundamentally change how procurement shows up as a strategic partner. This creates a scenario where automation actually works, analytics gives you real insights, and end-to-end visibility lets you make decisions with a lot more confidence. This most recent buyer's guide is actually a part of our ongoing series that we're building out, and we're constantly adding new buyer's guides and updating existing ones as the technology landscape evolves.
2.
UBS Bank just learned the hard way that your supplier's cybersecurity problems become your problems. The global banking giant confirmed a few days ago that data from over 130,000 employees, including their CEO's direct phone number, ended up on the dark web after hackers targeted one of their suppliers. But that's not the only instance of a third-party supply chain cyber attack to make the news this month. We also saw a major disruption to the food supply chain when United Natural Foods, the primary distributor for Whole Foods and a supplier to about 60 grocery stores in North Dakota alone, got hit by a cyber attack. Suddenly, shelves went empty, milk delivery stopped, and smaller rural stores were left scrambling to find alternatives. And according to new research, supply chain attacks have surged over 400% in recent years, with attackers specifically targeting IT and technology companies because they know the damage can spread to hundreds of downstream customers. This is an important reminder for procurement. Your supplier's cybersecurity isn't just their problem anymore, it's your business continuity risk. Every supplier in a network is a potential entry point for attackers, and as we've seen, even the biggest, most trusted suppliers can become points of vulnerability or liability. The best procurement teams understand they need to stay vigilant and have a plan, even before they need one.
1.
We've been doubling down on our YouTube channel lately, and if you haven't checked it out recently, you're missing some really good content. Over the last year or so, Art of Procurement has been leaning heavily into video, in large part because there's something about being able to see the conversation that just makes these discussions richer. What I love about the format is that we can provide nuance that sometimes gets lost in other types of content. So when you're watching us interview a procurement leader about the transformation journey or seeing the passion and excitement these leaders have when they talk about procurement, you're getting insights that are just harder to capture any other way. YouTube also gives us a more personal connection with our audience. There's something powerful about putting faces to the voices and the insights we share. I think it makes our community feel even more connected. So as we've been getting more and more feedback that procurement leaders and practitioners are hungry for this kind of content, you're wanting to see real examples, real conversations, real solutions in action, not just the theory, but the practical and authentic insights they can actually apply to their own teams. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd encourage you to check out our channel. We're publishing new content almost every day and very committed to making this a valuable resource for the procurement community. It's just one more way we're trying to give you the resources and insights you need to drive more value for the business from procurement.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Friday at 6 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. If you've enjoyed this pod, help us grow and tell your peers to search for Procurement 6 wherever they get their podcasts.